Hello, good morning slash afternoon. It is Talkin Kop. We're here for a little match reaction show. I'm your host, Matt. I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Kev O'Sullivan, Chris Brack. It has finished at the Etihad, a quote-unquote electric Etihad before the game. 1-1. Kev, how did you like
cuts off?
Yeah, it was electric, all right. Kev, how did you like the 12:30 post international break kickoff match today?
Getting used to it, aren't we? It's look, it was the game, the atmosphere, everything was flat, wasn't it? You know, it was a good game to watch. If you're a neutral, you'd have enjoyed that. That was some really high level football from both sides, and it ended a draw. Anytime you go to the Etihad and you come away with a point in the league, you're happy with that. They're a phenomenal side in the league at home. Their record speaks for itself. They were on the verge of breaking a record that stood for over 100 years today. And that's kind of gone now, which is cool. But, yeah, look, we take the point and we'll see where it stands us down the road. But it was important to get something out of today more than anything. You know, it came at a price. You know, today looks like it's come at a big price. But I'm happy with the draw. Very happy with the draw.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Chris. I'm sure you were part of the overwhelming majority of Liverpool fans that would have bitten off the proverbial hand for a draw at the Etihad.
Yeah, I would, because it's this way around. If you're going to be in a title race, you know you need to take probably 3 points off City over the two games. But we've always normally been going to the Etihad near the end of the season where it's a bit more. It has to be a win. Whereas we've now put us in a nice position where we maintain this level. You know, we're making City come to Anfield, and you have to win at Anfield, which is the record with Pep is it won once at Anfield. You know, Klopp's record he hasn't won at the Etihad against Pep apart from the Champions League. So, all in all, I think it's a really good point. You know, we can't really. We'll go into the game. We could be critical of some of our attacking play, some sloppiness which got City in. But when you're away at the Etihad, you've got to have to ride your chances. Your keeper needs to have a good game between the sticks, which actually I thought Ali did. I think footwear wise we can question a few things, but I actually thought Ali had a good game, and everyone had to be solid. You know, I think everyone was at least a 6 or 7 out of 10 or better. Even the quiet ones. Like Jones was quiet, but he was doing the cog in the machine job. So. I'm happy. If you give me a point beforehand, I'd have been more than happy with that. A win would have been perfect, but you know what? The key thing to remember is, I think it's the thing fans need to look at is, look at how Pep and City reacted at full time. They were pissed because they're like, we should have been 4 points clear of these. We don't want these bastards close to us because we know what shit it'll cause. And I think they've all realised, this could be one of those it's on again moments. And we're all like, oh no. So you can see the fear, because if that was, they didn't seem as arse losing to Arsenal, did they? They were annoyed, but you weren't seeing them kick it off and losing the shit. They're losing the shit because they dropped 2 points out.
Mm-hmm. You could even see the, I don't know if fear is the right word, but just Pep's reaction when the 8 minutes of added time went up, and he was just completely befuddled as to where it was coming from. And I felt that was him showing he was a little bit scared that we were going to go and nick that game and take all 3 points from him at the end. But so I mean, let's get back to the very start. I don't know how you guys felt about predicted lineups. I was about one off. I thought Ibu might get drawn back in, but Joel Matip, who will come up in the course of the show, we will have to talk about Joel Matip's performance. We go with Allison in goal, Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Tsimikas, a midfield three for the first time in, got to be about 8 or 9 games now, of Szoboszlai, McAllister, and Curtis Jones coming back in. Mo Salah, Darwin Núñez, and Diogo Jota start up top for us again. I like that team. Kev, how about you? How'd you feel about that lineup when you saw it?
Yeah, I was fine with it. The one thing that I thought with Konate is, look, we don't know what his injury situation is. We don't know how available he really is at the moment. And Joe Matip is what it says in the thing. He's got experience. He knows the role inside out. He knows what's coming as well. You know, there isn't any surprises in the City players that Matip won't have seen, apart from one, in Jeremy Doku. But in general, the lineup was fine. Curtis Jones coming back in for his first game in a good while. Was it's bad enough that you've got players coming off the international break. That's one thing, but at least those players have played minutes. Curtis hasn't played meaningful minutes in the league now for, it seemed like, forever. That suspension just kept, because it jumped into the international break, just kept going and going and going.
Sorry, Kev. I think since his first start in Spurs, which I think was September.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's quite a while, isn't it?
It is 3 games, but it just feels like an awful lot longer than that. He was my worry more than anyone, because if you don't have minutes, and it showed in patches in the first half, if you don't have minutes in your legs, then you can get found out in that ground very quickly. So that was my only real worry. Jota over Diaz wasn't really a surprise. Jota's in really good form. He had a good international break. So did Diaz, to be fair to him. But it's a horses for courses type of pick, because I feel that Jota probably works harder coming back the other way. And if your game plan is, when you look at City's bench, you know that starting 11 for them is more or less going to have to do the 90. Mm-hmm. If your game plan with Klopp is, look, stay in the game for an hour, and then you can make changes and have a Luis Diaz coming on against the tiring side, then you can make a good argument for that. And that's how it played out, to be fair.
That's 100% how it played out, and I would agree with that. Chris, any surprises in that lineup for you? Were you thinking maybe Gomez at left back, or because I know how much you hate all Greek people?
I know he was good today.
He was.
He was good today. No, I was under the impression if Tsimikas was playing, you would probably play Jota and Jones. I think Jones is better defensive cover than Gravenberch. Gravenberch is better if you also want to carry the ball, which when he came on with half hour to go, the game's open up, it's perfect for Gravenberch to go on. If you're going to start Jota, you have to start Tsimikas, because you need a wide option, and Tsimikas will give you that, a natural wide option. If we're going to start Gomez, who I still think is better defensively, but he's going to beat him on the outside and whip it with his left foot, then you would have to start Diaz. I think that's probably where we got it wrong against Luton, is we had too many lads, Jota, Gravenberch, they all want to cut in because onto the strong foot. So that did give us more balance. So I always found that I would have started Konate, but as Kev rightly pointed out, you don't know how fit he is, and you don't know, how much training. I mean, that training session he did, that might have been the only training he'd done, which is quite a concern to put at the end. But also, if I'm being brutally honest, Matip's in form. So why would you drop? Apart from Toulouse away, let's be fair, everyone was shite in that. Matip's not let us down, so you kind of have to let go. I thought he handled Haaland in general pretty well. But also, as Kev said this to me, and he's right, and it's on, our good old friend Mr. Paul Merson went, I can't see anything than a City win. I don't know why you're starting Matip. I don't know why you're starting Jones. I don't know why this is the lineup Liverpool picked. They've got no chance. And I was just going clearly Sanderson doesn't watch Liverpool or watch any sort of football, going, Joe Matip has been in much better form than Konate, if I'm being brutally honest. I think Konate is a better defender all round when he's on form, but I think Joe Matip's been the most in form of the two. So, no, I was all right with it. And look, and I said to Kev, this is probably where maybe there's a hinge of disappointment for us, is if you're still in it with half hour to go, look at the options. We can bring off the bench, we can bring off Gakpo, we can Gravenberch. There's loads of options there. And I looked at City's bench and I was kind of going, it's 2 goalkeepers, it's fullbacks, it's centre backs, and it's a lad called Bob. Now, Bob could be brilliant, but I've never heard of him. Bob, I don't know who he is.
He's your uncle, if you didn't know.
Yeah. Which I do find mad looking at that City squad, thinking there's only 3 injuries. Good players, Nunez, Grealish, and Kovacic. And you're sort of going, plus Kevin De Bruyne, 4 injuries. You're going, looks very threadbare after 4 injuries. And I'm being told this is one of the deepest City squad you'll ever see. I mean, it says it all about the squad. He didn't bring 1 sub on.
Yeah, to me, that was the difference in the game. That ended up getting us the point. But to take us right back to the start, I mean, you talked about Matip getting the nod ahead of Konate, and he has been playing well. Within the first minute, he cleared the ball out of our box twice. And it was like, holy shit, we are in for one long day. A couple minutes later, Trent does well against Doku. That was going to be a run battle the entire game. And I thought Trent did. He wasn't perfect. There was a couple of times, 22nd minute, Doku skinned him pretty good. Ali has to get a good hand down on it to keep the ball away from Haaland's feet. But other than that, I thought Trent did well. He knew what Doku was going to try to do. And the other guys on the right side, whether it was Szoboszlai, Elliott late in the game, Mo Salah tracking back more than I've just about ever seen Mo Salah track back. It was like they all knew that they needed to help. They really needed to help him there. And doing that job that Henderson did for years and years and years, I felt that as a team, we had a very, very good game plan for trying to keep the back door closed. And it all looked to be going okay. 10th minute, though, to me, this is probably the biggest talking point in terms of our defensive play from the game. Alisson gets the ball, and I'm not sure, Kev, what he's trying to pass at. He just passes it right at Phil Foden, and it was the first of about 3 or 4 times where Alisson's distribution was.
Yeah, he was trying to chip it to Costas. He was trying to chip it up to Costas, and he just didn't get underneath it. He got the 2-iron out instead of the pitching wedge, and Foden got a good shot off. Ali made a good save, and he's got that in his locker. That with Alisson, with his distribution. Vast majority of games, he's absolutely fine, and he picks passes brilliantly. And the best thing about him, his best strength, is when it doesn't go right, he shakes it off. It doesn't affect him, and he'll do exactly the same thing again, and he'll keep doing it because he knows it's the right way to play. And he had a bit of a mare, to put it in simple terms today. But at the same time, Chris was right earlier on. He made some really good saves, key saves at crucial times, and that's the day one job. So you're not going to be bagging him for the odd loose pass here and there. The thing is, and it's probably a bugbear of mine with the way that we play, but it's just life, unfortunately, with the way that Klopp plays against Man City. Everything goes back through the keeper. The keeper becomes the spare man, and you swing the ball around the back four using the keeper. And he probably gets too many touches on the ball. I'm looking there. Alisson made 52 passes today. That's too many. That's too many. It's 61 touches in total. That's too many for a goalkeeper to. I understand what he's trying to do. He wants to draw City in, pull them forward, to leave the space in behind to go over the top, or to try to play through the press, and you can isolate fullbacks and isolate centre backs one-on-one. It's the right way to play, but it don't have scare the bejesus out of you after a while.
I think the issue we had was I don't think we did enough movement in front of Alisson and the back four. So he was even being made to hit more risky passes than he would like to, or there was just nothing to hit. And I think that's where we probably just didn't quite get set up. Because I actually thought, when we were set defensively, I thought we defended really well. The key was transitions. I mean, that's where the goal comes from. It's a catch and transition, which I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of your schedule here, Mass. There is an element of we could criticise the defender, which we will do for what we should do with Ake, what we should do with Haaland. But there's also it's a little unlucky, which is Alisson does what he always does, which is he looks up and looks for that big wide switch to Mo on the right hand side of the counter, which we do all the time. 9 times out of 10, it comes off and Mo gets us up the pitch. He shanks it, he slips and shanks it, and we'll caught in transition. And for me, Domo should do better closing Ake down and give him his due. Haaland, I mean, he's now the fastest to 50 goals in the Premier League history. His movements getting between Van Dijk and Matip's very, very good. The first touch kills it. Because I watch it at first, I think, Van Dijk should get round quicker. When you see the first touch he does, no one's getting near him, because basically if you go near him, then it's a pen. It was interesting. I saw a few criticisms of Alisson for the goal. Sturridge came up, and listen, I'll listen to Daniel Sturridge when he talk about finishing, because the man knew how to finish. He said the fact he banged it into the floor to make it a bobble, he said kills it for the keeper. He said along the floor, he said the keeper gets that. He said because the bobble's in there, he said it makes it. He's got to anticipate the bobble, and he has to go down a bit slower. That's why Haaland scores what he does. He's something like 50 goals in under 50 games. It's
48.
Yeah, outrageous. We put in context. Mo did it in 72, and that's not exactly sloppy.
Yeah, well, the record was 65 by Andy Cole. So Haaland beat that by 17 games, which is half a fucking season. So, I mean, the guy is just an absolute machine. But, like, I feel for their goal, it felt like it was kind of coming. I kind of feel like that middle 15 of the first half, they were really on top of us. So, to me, the big turning, like, 19th minute, Jones is back defending in our box, and he plays the closest thing to a suicide ball you will ever see to Alisson. Right along the goal line.
He does well to clear it, Alisson.
He does that. His handling, Alisson's handling there was very good. Then Doku gets the better of Trent, and then they get a series of corners, and it's from the third of that series of corners that Alisson collects it. And for the first time that I can think of, an Alisson slip clearance ends in a goal for the other team.
It's unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unusual. But you go back about 5 minutes before that, and Darwin had a chance.
Yeah, he did,
Darwin had a couple of chances. He had a chance at the early in the first half with the header, and for some reason they gave a foul in the follow-up, which I thought was a bit weak to say the least.
Yeah,
but it was a good header. Ederson made a good save. The other chance that came along the ground, to him, where he couldn't get it out of his feet. In fairness, that's the difference between the two players. I know, but that's the difference between Haaland and Nunes. Yeah. Haaland drags that through to get an effort off, whether it's a save or whatever. Darwin has to drag that ball forward and get a shot off. In these tight games, it's those kind of things that make the difference. He played well today. Don't get me wrong, he did. I thought he played really well in patches. But that's the kind of thing, you take a 1-0 lead away from home, it's a big difference. It gets you right into it then. But the Haaland goal, the movement from Haaland was brilliant. The anticipation that Ake would beat the two players, beat Szoboszlai and beat Trent, and he beat them well, but he beat them easily. The touch and hit, the right touch with the right foot and hit was a brilliant goal. And you're 1-0 down, and you're thinking, "Damn, was that Darwin chance the chance?" Mm-hmm. We know we're going to get chances in the game, but as the game played out, the way the game played out all through for the 98 minutes or 99 minutes, we never had a real clear-cut chance that we blew. We had half chances and scruffy chances, and if your luck is in, chances, but we never got that one-on-one with the keeper, that one-on-one through the middle where Darwin is isolated the centre back and go at him. He had that one chance later in the second half, but he took the option to go wide. But in general, it was either going to be a pot shot from distance or a bit of luck. That's just how I felt the way it was going.
Give me credit because I don't even know everyone knows my opinion on it, but we'll talk about that Jones suicide pass. And Ali clears it wide. Fair play to Costas because he goes shoulder to shoulder with Foden, out muscles him, and does what we've been asking to do: is he bangs his whole body down the wing, plays it into Domo. I think Domo sets up Nunes. That came from some of the frustrations I have with Tsimikas, and he showed a lot of this today, which is what you want is fight a bit of a will to win, which was, I will do the basics, I'll do them bloody well, and you're not out-muscling me. You've got to make it hard to get past me. I think Bob was saying, still rubbish defending. It is rubbish defending for their goal. But in general, I actually thought Liverpool defended quite well today. I mean, you never, ever got to get a quiet day at the Etihad. Some things we can do. No, we all know that. You're always going to get chances. There's some things that we could all say are a bit self-inflicted. And they are. I
would say for their goal is probably the only time that we had a total lapse defensively as a team. And that shows you the level that City are at. Because somebody mentioned earlier in the show, I threw the comment up on the screen that this is the most difficult game. This is the most difficult game for any team in the league with the exception of Man City, whose most difficult game will be the reverse fixture when they come to Anfield later in the season. And that is fucking already setting up to be a juicy, juicy game. These are the current treble holders. This is a very, very good team. They had one real chance where we fell asleep. Szoboszlai could do better. Trent could do better. Matip and Van Dijk could be marking Haaland better, but they had one chance and the ball ends up into the back of the net. That's just what happens when you're playing against the absolute elite. Just so I don't forget it, Kev, you mentioned the header that Darwin had and the amazing save that Ederson made, because it was a great save. That came off the back of Joel Matip doing an amazing Joel Matip. Just full giraffe on ice, amazing up the field. And like when he got his goal against Leeds to finally score off the end of a Maisie Matip run, he laid it off to Mo and he kept going. He didn't lay it off and then retreat. He laid it off and he kept going and got into the box. And I think that deserves to be pointed out because, for me at least, Matip on the ball today, not very good. Matip defensively today, quite good. Yes. So I do agree, though, about their goal. Like, it's I think it was Sukbir there that said it was powder puff defending, and it was. That's just one of those moments where you just foul them. Just take them down, whether it's Szoboszlai, whether it's Trent. Hopefully not Trent, because you know he's going to have a constant running battle with Doku all game. Szoboszlai should be there and just take the yellow card. Just take the yellow card.
But you've also got to be quick. You've got to give Aki credit. It's very quick thinking and a very quick pass. It's 2 touches and it's out. So if we do Liverpool, that's what we're thinking, because we're Liverpool fans. That's what we want. If this is a City podcast, you would be going, Aki does really well. He anticipates it, takes it, and within 3 touches, bang bang, it's out to Haaland. You know. So it's one of those, like, me and Kev talk about it in our messages to each other. They're the fine margins. But the way we've got to look at this, and look, some of the chat, you know, I could have criticisms. I think there's a couple of chat who just go a bit over the top.
Always are.
Those are the same people that when we win, we never see. But, you know, that's just the way life is. Put this in context. In April, me and Kev had to do the post-match. These beat us 4-1 without Haaland. And quite frankly, with an hour to go, it was like pat Liverpool on the head. We won't hurt you anymore now. 4-1's enough for us. You go back down. You go back to Liverpool. Tails between your legs. Thanks very much. Today, they had to fight for everything. They had to battle for everything. They're killing themselves because they didn't make it 2-0. And you've got to give Liverpool credit this year is we've got nearly all of our tough away games out of the way. Generally done all right results-wise. I think, looking out, what big away games have we got left where you think, okay, they're not games you expect to win all.
United and Arsenal.
United and Arsenal. The derby, against Everton, because the derby is always difficult for us, and our record away is not great. And the other one's Villa. Villa away is going to be a ball leg, because Villa at home have become they're the 4 big ones we've got left. The rest have all got loads of big away games to go. All of them coming to Anfield, I fancy us against anybody at Anfield. Like they would, fair. City will fancy anyone at the Etihad. So with game, we've got to go back to look at where we are, look what we've done. And SPKD 2007 has just said it's the first time someone took points off them in 2023. They have not lost at home in any competition this calendar year. Or
they hadn't even drawn. Yeah, it was 23 straight wins at the Etihad, and I believe it was about to be a new English record for consecutive home wins.
And another record for Liverpool that's just come from Jed Ray. Liverpool have still not lost back-to-back games against Man City since 1937. And listen, for a long period, City were the City of now, but they've been bloody good for a good 15 years now, and we still never lost back-to-back. So they hate playing us. We hate playing them, to be fair.
I'll tell you what, there's not a single Liverpool fan anywhere.
We are the kryptonite to each other. Listen, Klopp has the most wins against Pep than anybody. Now, Pep also has the most wins over Klopp. These two just, when we're together, we don't like each other. So, again, we've got to do that. Now, the key to this is, we'll come to the rest of the days, back it up next week against Fulham. It's shite getting the draw here if we don't back it up against Fulham next week. That's going to be the key now. Win the next 2, this draw looks even better. Drop anything for the next 2 games, you look stupid.
Yes, without a doubt. Before we get into halftime, I think this might be the most important moment of the game. Ederson plays an unbelievable pass. I don't even know how the ball got into his hands. He took 6 of our players out with one just laser-guided pass, and all of a sudden they're in. Foden's got the ball on the right wing. He cuts inside, and Kev, every time we do these shows, at least once, we say Alisson Becker with a world-class save. Like, if that ball goes in and it's 2-0 on the stroke of halftime, this is a totally, totally different ball game. What a save from our keeper.
Brilliant save. Brilliant ball by Ederson to find the space, because there's an angle and what I was watching from behind Alisson when you see that ball coming, and it literally went by 2 Liverpool players a foot.
By like,
it literally was less than a foot, and it was a sublime pass. It wasn't a long ball. It was a pass. You know, it was a 40,
right on the ground
pass. And the thing is, he's known to shank them as well, and nobody talks about it. Ederson has that in his locker as well, where he takes the risks. Sometimes he gets the rewards, and Alisson pops up with a brilliant save. But to be fair, I remember doing shows with everyone really on here, and we all said it going back when we first started seeing Phil Foden. He's going to be a thorn in our side for the next decade. He's a ridiculously good footballer. How good was Costas today defensively?
Very good.
Not just
good.
Costas. Yeah, not just Costas, but that left-hand side. And
Jones and Jota.
Jones, Jota, Costas, Diaz, Gravenberch, Costas. For the bulk of that game, City got no joy down that side. So much so that you didn't hear a peep out of Kyle Walker either. Normally when City are flying and they're playing with full confidence that there is no risk of them getting hit the other way, Kyle Walker is making the bombing runs on as well. And they leave a 2v2 at the back. They never did. They always had the security blanket at the back of having the 3 centre-backs. And I think that goes back to Salah's goal last season. I think it was last season where he rolled Cancelo and got in just 1v1 with a long ball. Pep never took the risk today. He knew that at 1-0 that all it takes is one pass, be it from Virgil, be it from McAllister, whoever had the ability to find that one ball over the top. So he never, ever, ever went for it today. And you'll probably regret it because, this result could really throw us. It keeps us well in it. But yeah, no, credit where it's due. Costa Tsimikas today was very, very good. Very good.
Yeah. It was, to me, it was shades how quiet Tsimikas kept Foden. Was very similar to last season's Anfield version of this fixture, where when the lineups dropped and it was James Milner starting at right back against Phil Foden, who was flying at the time. And we came out of that game going, geez, the old man James Milner really shut down the young starlet in Phil Foden there.
Again, in the Anfield game, we went 4-4-2, and Elliott basically just played as an old school right mid in front of him and doubled up. Listen, I see Jones is getting a bit of a mixed reaction. I don't think he was great on the ball. I think he should have done more. I think that's a little bit lack of sharpness. But I think he did what we liked Genie doing, the cog in the machine, the covering back, the breaking play up. The final ball wasn't good enough, and look, that's probably a bit of a sharp lack of match sharpness. There seems to be an urge to, where we can, slag Jones off and say, he's not good enough. He's come back from a little while out, injuries and stretches. I think he's fine. I've said for a fact, I think on that left side of midfield, he's a great squad option. He's a horses for courses player. Next week, actually, I would start Gravenberch, because I think if you're playing Fulham, you need a ball carrier, and Gravenberch is a better ball carrier. But you have to keep looking at the clock. He always picks Jones when he's fit in these big games, especially away from home. So he must do something the manager wants to do.
It's a system. He's a system player. He's
Anthony Boylan
a system player.
Yeah, Anthony Boylan makes a great point there. People forget 2 great teams often cancel each other out. Jones didn't have his best game, but neither did Silva and Rodri. Absolutely true.
I'm going to pull you up on that, Kev, because I'm just going to jump right to. I thought fucking Rodri was fantastic. 3 or 4 times as I'm taking notes through the game, I have written down, how is he everywhere? He's everywhere.
He was good at breaking the play up. But
I'm not going to.
Jones did that.
Rodri is the best player in the world right now.
He's the best DM in the world.
Every single team in the world better. He improves every single team.
Yeah, being snide.
so good.
Being a snide, because I like being a snide and being a wind-up.
Oh, he's an absolute piece of shit, and we're going to get onto that.
No. About Rodri. We'll come to Trent goal a bit later, but just bear in mind.
No.
Where's the DM? Where's the DM? Where's the DM for that goal? The DM's supposed to be there to break up play. Where's the DM for the most crucial part of the game?
I can tell you where the DM went for that goal. But
I guarantee it. Certain other DMs who play for us, we concede that goal. Our DM is getting dogs abuse in here and getting told, that's your job. You should be there for this. He went, listen, Rodri, brilliant. Yeah. I am not saying not brilliant. Every club would have Rodri. He went missing, though, for the most crucial part of the game.
Rodri defensively today was very good. Rodri on the ball today was me. Bernardo Silva, very good. He was always available, moving the ball, kept it quick, 1-2 touch, shifted right and left, but he was never threatening. I never felt like Bernardo Silva, something's going to happen. Jeremy Doku on the ball, I felt there was a real threat. And it was never 1v1 where he was stopped. It was always 2v1, 3v1. It was like whoever got to him first, slow him down, and then someone else come and help him, and someone else come and back him up. And that's how you dealt with him. And we dealt with him in the main really well. But he, to me, felt like if anything, City were going to do anything today, it was going to go through Jeremy Doku.
100%.
Even Haaland. Haaland had the chance. He had his one chance, and there was one bit of play in the first half that I think he did really well. Other than that, I thought he had a quiet game. The Matip and Virgil handled him really well. I just look at the way we played. We set up to stay in that game as long as possible and to try to open the game up in the second half. And my biggest fear, because we got to halftime, I mean, there was one play, I just mentioned it quickly, at the end of the first half, Curtis Jones was checking back. We were on the attack, and he checked back on his right foot on the edge of the box, and I was just screaming at the telly, hit it, just hit it, hit it.
Yeah.
It was, and I go back to it. I don't know, Matt, if you saw the pre-match interview that Klopp gave to Sky. Right, what he was talking about was our goals at the Etihad, and he made a point of saying that most of the time when we score there, it's come from us having possession of the ball for a long period of time, keeping the ball for about a minute, working the player or working the Man City players because they don't like it. He's convinced that if you keep the ball long enough, space will open up, and I'm convinced that our players, Szoboszlai especially, and the same with Jones, had that in his head. When there were times when Damo should have had a shot from outside the box and he never did. Jones the same. He should have had shots from outside the box and he never did. And I'm sure it's because Klopp had it in their heads, keep the ball, work for a better chance, and the chances open up. And going on past experience, that generally is what happens at City. But he should have had a pot shot from there from at the end of the first half. It was his slot. It was right. Chris is right. It was the Everton, game where he had his
top
first,
bins, coconuts. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and it was right there at the end of the first half. I just wish he'd had a real good pop at it. But
maybe that's just a bit of match sharpness. If he's
exactly
couple of games in, he goes, "I'm gonna take it on." So these are the fine margins you've got to learn from. But don't know, Matt, were you worried at halftime?
I wasn't worried. My first
our Telegram group was.
My first note at halftime is not great, but could have been worse. Because the last real moment of incident before the half was that save against Foden. And that, to me, really kind of skewed the whole thing of we went into the half with them having a really good chance of doubling their lead. And then that makes the game pretty much unrecoverable from there. Like, it's pretty hard to claw back a 2-goal deficit at the Etihad against this Man City team, against a Pep Man City team. But I thought it was okay. Like, I agree with what Kev was saying. There was a couple, like Jones had one, Szoboszlai had at least one, and Darwin had 1 or 2 times where he has the ball. He's 18, 20, 22 yards out from goal. Shoot. But he's playing the extra pass and trying to look for it. And then City's able to get the numbers back, and we can't quite get the ball back into the middle of the box. So, I'm way too confident to ever be worried. Like, I thought we were going to absolutely smash these pieces of shit today.
I'm worried.
I thought we were going to win 115-0, but that actually turns out as the number of charges against Man City.
Yeah, it was close.
Liverpool. So Yeah, it's I got that wrong, but it was they gave us a uh, somebody was making Rocky analogies. I don't know if it was last night or this morning in the Telegram group, but it was definitely Avo because he's of that vintage. And it felt like we were taking some punches from them in the first half, and you just have to not get knocked out. And we didn't get knocked out because Ali makes that save against Foden right before halftime. So, you get to halftime, and I know everybody in the Telegram group wants Klopp to make 5 changes at halftime, which is never going to happen. But
Half the team was crap. We had all this chat.
yeah, I don't think anybody was crap, but I don't think anybody was
It was
good.
brilliant. It was
So you just keep going. You do 10, 15 minutes into the second half, and you see what state the game is in. So maybe that's just me. I don't know how you felt at halftime, Kev.
I was nervous for the first 15 minutes of the second half because they have a tendency to come out at the start of second halves and foot to the floor. They tend to be really aggressive when they come out. And if we weren't at it, if we weren't switched on, if we came back for the start of the second half cold, we'd get picked off. But it was the opposite. We started off the second half really well, and we grew more and more into the game. And for about, I think, from the start of the second half up until the changes, we were the better side. We were controlling the ball. We got them in. We pushed them back into their own half, and we started to keep the ball, and we looked more confident without being overly threatening. But we started to push them into areas where they didn't want to be in. But at the same time, you're also leaving a big, huge gap at the back for players like Haaland to run into. So there's serious risk there. But I mean, the thing is, then, the game pottered along and the changes needed to be made. I think with the subs when they happened, injury to Jota looks like a hamstring. That would have been the change anyway, but probably on the hour. I think the change probably came about 7 minutes earlier than what Klopp would have made it. But those were the two players that were going to be coming on irrespective. And if you wanted to make, you only get 3 chances outside of halftime to make changes. So with one injury, it just made more sense to bring the two, make the 2 changes. And from then you're just, okay, get up to the speed of the game really quickly. You don't have the luxury of 5 minutes of betting yourself into this game. And they didn't. They looked alive to it, and it was just we just kept going. We just kept going again. We didn't skip a beat. It was for about another 5-10 minutes after that when the changes were made. We still kept the ball. We still were looking. It wasn't a tennis game by any stretch, but they were aware. Okay, it's only 1-0, and we were very aware of the fact that next goal is vital. If they got a second, it was done.
Yeah.
We weren't, let alone getting 1 back, we weren't getting 2 or 3 because of how defensively set up they were. When they got into their block which was essentially 5-2-3, because when they were off the ball, they reverted to the back 5. 2 in the middle of the park, the 2 wingers tucked back in to make it almost like a 5-4-1 at times. So if you don't get them on the break, you're really going to struggle. Because I was saying it to Chris because the amount of corners that we had as well in the second half, it's easy to forget how big a side City are. Now, normally we're pretty physically a big enough side. That Man City side are huge, So unless the cross from the corner is inch perfect onto running Virgil's head or running Joel Matip's head when they're in the air, you're going to do well to get anything out of a set piece. Chris made the point there when we were talking, that maybe we could have varied the delivery slightly. Maybe gone for a short corner once in a while, but, we didn't. We kept putting it into the same area, and then it became predictable. It became predictable and easy to read, yeah.
It's too close for Edison. I mean, the thing I would ask, Matt, I don't know you, Kev, thought about this, which I thought was very un-City-like. Most of our better chances came not long after they went 1-0 up, where we got caught. We kept catching on the break. We had breakaway goals. We did, we ballsed them up. But that is very, very un-City-like, because it used to be City go 1-0 up, they shut the game down. You don't get a kick. You don't get near the goal.
Yeah.
That's partly,
you never get the ball back.
Exactly. Now, is that partly because how well we've improved, as much as people perhaps have not always seen it, or is there some little chinks in City? Because I've never been away to City where if they take the lead, you rarely get the ball back. Whereas we were still getting opportunities. I think we were just a bit poor with our final ball, especially when they have their second goal disallowed, which we'll come to, because I think that is what Pep's lost his shit over. And it's definitely a disallowed goal when all the arrivals are going berserk, saying it's not allowed. He barely touches him. Before VAR, you breathe on a keeper, it's a free kick. And then, as Kev rightly pointed out, the Darwin header, Edison saves it. There's a slight bump into Akanji, free kick. Similar sort of contact to Alisson. If you lean into a keeper or touch a keeper, it is always going to get pulled up. VAR or no VAR, that would always have been disallowed. So, cry me a river if you think you've been hard done by, but we all know whether you like it or you don't like it. Do I think it's much of a shove at Alisson? Not really. But you make sure the ref sees it, and that's smart play. It's quite dumb by Akanji. And then he kept doing it all game. And the ref then was just like, I'm just going to blow every time because you make yourself a target. It was quite thick by Akanji. I thought he just made himself a target.
Yeah. Well, it's without massive incidents. I mean, there was no, goals or red cards or anything like that. The first 20 minutes of the second half was rather full of incidents. So just before we make our first changes, Doku has a one-on-one against McAllister, and it was one of the most unequal one-on-ones I've ever seen. He absolutely fucking breezed by McAllister. Yeah. He centers the ball to Alvarez. Alvarez skies it over. Then Jota goes down hurt. We make our two substitutions. Diaz for Jota, Jones for Gravenberch. 54th minute, just after we make, literally the first touch after we make the subs, Tsimikas just gives the ball right away to them. They cross the ball. Trent, good header at the back post in terms of being there to head the ball away, but he doesn't head it away. He heads it directly back to the penalty spot. And Erling Haaland, I don't know how he doesn't bury it, but he skies it well over. And it's like, holy shit, we are teetering. We've had a player injured. We've made two substitutions, and they've had two shots over our bar in about 3 minutes. Doku has another one-on-one. Trent does excellent this time against him. 58th minute, this is when I got starred. Because, Kev, you mentioned this. Kyle Walker not getting in behind. In the 58th minute, Kyle Walker got in behind one time. And I'm not sure who played the pass to him, but he was fucking in like a shot. He centers the ball. He's well behind Tsimikas. He centers the ball, and Virgil van Dijk is right where he needs to be. He is right where he needs to be, and he blocks that out. That's all well and good. We then get a corner that shouldn't have been a corner. It would have been amazing to score from that because Pep's fucking arteries would have absolutely exploded, and we all would have absolutely enjoyed that. The one I want to come on to, though, is in the 64th minute, and I will give you a quote from Jim Beglin, who was the color commentator on the international feed. A bit pathetic is what he described Rodri's appeal for a fucking handball that hits him in the thigh. Rodri shoots the ball.
It's in the arse.
It hits him in the leg, and he's appealing for a handball. So I was very happy that Jim Beglin said that's a bit pathetic. And that's...
Can I ask a question? Because Kev said this to me. Are we all okay now with square up to refs and getting in front of them and intimidating? Because I'm pretty certain there was a directive saying you can't do that. I mean, let's face it. Our guy got an extra game ban for telling a ref to F off and don't touch me.
Well, in the 88th minute, Bernardo Silva got a yellow card for dissent. So
and then carried on dissent, and then he got pushed away. It's like, well, make her up your own back, lads. Yeah. But yeah, I saw it, and then they said VAR checked. Thought, I've seen this game. I've seen this story before. And when you watch the replay, you went, I was watching going. Watch the replay. I go, all right, watch it now. It's going to hit McAllister's hand. That's what it's going to be. No, Gravenberch comes across, hits his arse, and you went, is there like a bit of a tape missing? And you're like, oh no, that's what they clicked for. I was like, Jesus, wet man. Then again,
but you know what?
If the ref would give it, I bet you VAR would have just said, it's all right, lads.
Yeah, good process, boys.
Do you know what it shows? It shows to me how worried the City players were at that point in the game, because even though they had half chances, we were growing into the game, and when you see players doing that, you know that the desperation, they'll scream. They were screaming for anything. That was never in a month of Sundays. Either he didn't see it and he saw the ball flying, and he thought, "I better appeal just in case." Make sure VAR is looking at it.
There's three of them.
Yeah, they were convinced that, and it's just, is this choreographed or something? You know, just hit at half time and say, "Look, if I shout for something, you all come in with me." But no, look, it was a nonsense. But
I like Nick
it
Black.
was pathetic.
I like Nick Black's.
It was a nonsense.
Nick Black's got it right. City players are weirdos. It's pretty fair, to be honest. That's a nice way to put it.
Shortly after that, though, City have their 7th corner. The ball gets swung in by Julian Alvarez, who I will say has quite a lovely corner delivery on him. He really knows how to put the ball into. Yeah. Ruben Diaz puts the ball into the net after it looks like Alisson is extremely weak and just drops the ball onto his own goal line.
If you Gary Neville, honestly, it pisses me off this way. It pisses me off if Gary Neville, the groan he does, where it sounds like he's fucking dying. Only.
Yeah.
And he goes like, he might get away with it, but I think the keeper's weak there. It's like, you can't touch the keeper. Whether you think
he has his arm on, like his hand is on Alisson's arm. You're
not allowed to touch the keeper. So this is Gary Neville again, and this is what annoys me. And unfortunately, too many of our fan base listen to him. Is whatever Gary Neville says, who seems to be the self-proclaimed voice of fucking football, he's not. Listen to what he said. He is self-agenda driven. It's anything to talk Liverpool down, anything to talk up his own interests. He does not believe this because he spent the whole game slagging off the person he gave man the match to. That tells you all about Gary Neville. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's the most obvious foul given. I've seen people on social media going like, "Oh, it's barely a touch," but I don't care. The ref, if it was that slight a touch, the ref wouldn't even disallowed it. He'd have just given it and let VAR look at it. The ref saw it straight away and blew it. You even seen the ref just going to him, calm down. His point going, "You pushed him." And you see a Kanji going, "Oh." So if VAR wasn't around, they still would have been disallowed that goal. So, calm yourself down. It's an obvious disallowed goal.
Exactly. And before I come to you, Kev, for the second one, I just want to give a shout out to our resident English teacher, Madge Apple, with an amazing pun, making a Rodri for their own back.
Very good.
Kev, the second corner that looks like it might be a goal where Akanji is deemed to have fouled Alisson and he falls over the line. I thought that one was closer.
Yeah, but still, it's one of those that keepers are, and they always have been, a protected species. And they're as mad as a box of frogs, and they're all daft as a brush. But they are a protected species when they come for crosses. They generally, as long as they're not, even sometimes when they are throwing punches at players, they get away with it. But in general, as long as they're coming with intent to get the ball, they generally will get the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, look, I was never worried about those ones getting given because you just see too many of them over time where they're disallowed. And even when you listen to the crowd at the time, it's like everyone who saw it knew. Yeah, but everyone who saw it knew. It wasn't like the crowd got up. If you think back to Arteta at Anfield when he just pissed off everybody, the crowd got up because they felt wronged in some way. And that didn't happen. It doesn't matter what ground you're at. If your home fans feel like they've been wronged by a refereeing decision by hook or by crook, then the whole place gets up for at least 10-15 minutes. That didn't happen when those goals went in. They knew. Anyone who was at the game today who saw it knew. They were never in a month of Sundays going to get given. It's just one of those things. You just got to get on with it.
So then we actually have a half decent chance. What's becoming, I think, our offensive play of the season. 71st minute, Mo gets the ball on the right-hand side. Luis Diaz makes a run, but also Darwin Núñez makes a run, and Mo plays that what's becoming his trademark left foot side pocket pass. It looks like it's supposed to go to Diaz, but it's a little too far for him. It's to Darwin. It was going wide. Ederson makes the save. We get a corner from it. Gakpo comes on for Szoboszlai, which I was actually kind of surprised by because I thought Szoboszlai was giving us a little bit of drive in the midfield, but Gravenberch was also doing that. 74th minute. I love Fantasy Premier League so much. I captain Darwin Núñez, so obviously he picks up a fucking yellow card. That's absolutely lovely. 78th minute. We have a break. Luis Diaz has the ball. He just has one man in the middle of the park in Manuel Akanji to beat, and we've got 2-3 men overloaded on the right-hand side. He puts it right onto Akanji's head, who heads it directly into Chris piece of garbage Kavanaugh. They stop the play. I'm not sure how, but somehow City is immediately down at the other end, and Allison, again, Chris, point-blank save against Erling Haaland, and 26 seconds later. Like, this moment of the match is just absolutely massive, where we look like we have a chance. We squander it with poor attacking decision making again, which was becoming a theme for us during the game. They go down the other end, Allison doing Allison things, and then bang, tie game.
I think you see the two best keepers in the league. Ederson, to me, is the best passer of a ball for a keeper you will ever see. He's probably better than some midfielders, to be fair. For me, that's the only thing he has over Allison. I will admit, if you say who's the best keeper of the ball at his feet, it's Ederson.
Yeah.
By miles. No one's near him. No one will probably ever get near him. The rest of it, one-on-one keeping, saves from distance, dominating your box, claiming crosses. Allison has all them down in spades over everyone, which is why it's always a surprise when he concedes a goal. So we probably why everyone assumes he's made a mistake. Everyone probably assumed when a goal goes, Allison should have got that. It's because we expect him to save everything. Because, to be honest, 90% of the time, he bloody does. And that's where Allison, that's the reason we've got a point today is big key moments. Allison makes the big saves. And that's what you need from him. He's the best one-on-one keeper you will see. Better than Ederson. Anyone who thinks Ederson's better at him at one-on-one is dreaming. So, he's boss. The other thing I would say is, you've also got to give Klopp a lot of credit here. The subs he made are ballsy subs.
Yeah.
They are ballsy subs. Gravenberch for Jones makes sense. Like for left-hand side. Diaz for Jota. Then he goes, I'm taking the midfielder off subs. I'm putting another forward on in Gakpo. Gakpo can play deeper. But he basically, it was either 4-4-2 or 4-2-4 away to City. Not many managers taking that ballsy risk. Most are saying, I'll take the 1-0. You've got to give him credit. You've got to be brave. And listen, if City do get the second, everyone's criticising, going, we were too open. This is silly. But, you've got to say again for Klopp, subs again, help win the game. There have been too many games this year where we've looked at his subs and gone, like we have criticised in previous seasons, rightly going, they didn't really work, or they're just paint by numbers subs. He's been more innovative and more brave, I would say, with subs.
Yeah, it's to me, it's the biggest improvement on the coaching side of the team. You can speak player for player, especially in the midfield. It's quite obvious that we've improved there. But just in terms of what Jurgen Klopp and his coaching staff is doing, our substitutions this year have been fantastic. And Kev, I'll come to you on that. I mean, 7 minutes before we level the game up, the substitution is made, Gakpo for Szoboszlai, and Gakpo plays a pivotal role in the goal. I'll try to paint the picture for everybody. Diaz gets the ball on the left again. This time he makes the crossfield pass. He doesn't pick out a City head. It goes to nobody. Mo has to break his run off. He comes back and collects it. He lays the ball into Trent, who takes one touch, bangs it right foot across Ederson into the bottom corner. But before Trent gets that ball, the substitute Cody Gakpo makes a run that draws the City defense by Cody's run, hook, line, and sinker, and it leaves the space there for Trent. And this is what I wanted to come on to is we made 5 subs. They made no subs. We made the subs. We made 3 out of our 5 substitutions when we were losing, and we won. We won our point because of our substitutions.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The subs changed the game. I'm still convinced that Cody Gakpo's best position is in midfield, and nothing I've seen from his time at the club has changed my mind on that. And if that means that he's going to be coming off the bench a bit more, I'm all for it. The problem is now the injury to Jota means he's probably going to be playing up front more. But I love him playing that 8 role where he can, because he's so strong on the ball. When he gets a ball in possession, he's calm with it. He can pick a pass, and his movement off the ball is really good as well. He's got a real brain about about his play. I thought he was brilliant today when he came on. The thing is with the hit from Trent, it wasn't powerful. It was just accurate. You know, it wasn't like he stood back and walloped it and hit and hope. That was
it
just
wasn't
pure
like his goal against Leicester in the title-winning season where
No.
laser beams it in.
Yeah,
It's
this
similar-
one was just accuracy, pure
similar
accuracy.
technique. I think it's very similar to the Leicester one. It's technique. But the technique he hits it with, you get nowhere near it. That's all I thought when I saw it. As soon as he hit it, I went, Leicester away. That's all that went through my head. Just first time, clean hit. Nobody's saving that. It doesn't have to hit it hard. The accuracy of it, you know, Alisson, as much as I've just praised Ederson, I don't think Alisson saves that one either. I don't think anyone saves that. It's so in the corner, it's untrue. It's a great goal.
And the fact that it was hit early, it probably caught Alisson or Ederson by surprise. You know, he probably wasn't expected the shot from there. Plus, we hadn't really done it all game. So, look, it was at the time, it was what we deserved because for all of the huffing and puffing City did, they didn't really work Alisson massively. And I don't think either side, when you look at the stats and you look back at the game, you know, there were Bar City's goal, which I think, you know, they should score from. You know, the rest of it was really half chances. And that from Trent today, that was a half chance at best. You know, but it was exactly, I think it was what we deserved at the time. What surprised me was what happened after, is the changes Klopp made, because it just goes to show how much Klopp values a point at Man City with the changes that he made. It would have been very easy for him to just let that side see this game out, you know, but he went, no, absolutely no risks involved. He brought on Endo, brought on Harvey, and said, okay, we might nick it, but we're definitely not losing this point. We worked too damn hard to get it. So it was, and I'll be honest, my arse was doing kittens for the last 8 minutes of that game. I understand where he got his 8 minutes from, to be fair. It was like, you know, you had 2 VAR incidences, you had 3 blocks of subs, you had a goal, you had a couple of head injuries that the trainers came on.
Oh, how funny was that head injury, by the way?
Oh, I wasn't going to let it go by, Chris. I was going to make sure we got
I must admit, I said to Kev, what's this ref doing? He said, I'm fuming. What you stopped the game for? And I went, oh, my bad, it's a head injury. Then I watched it and went, he's barely touched him. And that's one of the things, I love it when someone does a fake head injury.
Yeah.
And it fucks their own team over. Because you can see them that was a perfect breakaway.
Oh,
they absolutely sucked Liverpool up and hit a gap between Costas and Van Dijk. It was very well worked. And your own teammate fucked you over. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Exactly.
I absolutely laughed my arse up over that.
And the thing is, it annoys me with football in general. And look, I just, for what it's worth, look, it's nothing to do with this game or anything. But the way concussion protocols are handled in football are a complete and utter joke. They don't take concussion protocols seriously whatsoever.
No.
But when you see a player and that happens to them, and they were in, you know, let's not beat around the bush. They were in, and it would have been no surprise if they'd have finished that move off. You know, but it was one of the few times where in transition we looked really caught. You know, it didn't happen often in the game. We marshaled that pretty well for the majority of the game. And I just thought, when he blew up, I thought someone has broken a bone here. One of the players is screaming or something. And he's like, no, he's just gone down holding his noggin. It's like,
which the referee's right. He has to stop it.
He has to stop it.
That's the rules. But when you see, but then you see a Kanji bounce, go, what have you stopped the game for? And you can see the referee going, you're holding your head. And then Bernardo Silva's book, and you can see the ref going, he's holding his head. What can I do? Yeah. You know the rules, lads. You've just literally messed yourself up. A little update from Klopp. He said Jota and Alisson will go for scans. Jota said he felt something, but he said it'll have to be assessed and we'll have to see. Asked a bit further about Alisson. Apparently, Klopp has said, I hope it's not serious, but I don't have an answer. No clue at the moment. Then he's also put, I spoke to him, Alisson, and he said he felt it a little bit, but we'll have to wait for the scan. So hopefully with the Alice one, it's a bit like when James Milner used to feel a hamstring and he'd just go, oh, and he'd just sit down, and Milner would be back within a week because it's like I felt it's a tightness of twinge, but it's not gone. Hopefully that's what it is. Where they go like, it's to be honest, Alisson probably isn't going to play on Thursday anyway. Callum was also going to play last. So fingers crossed, he's back for Fulham, or worst case, he only misses Fulham and then we're back for them. Just one, I would say, looks more serious for two, given his history of he does get a lot of serious muscle injuries. He's a very unlucky person when it comes to that.
It was a point well earned. You know, when we finally saw it out, it was a point well earned, but it was a point that come at a cost. You know what I mean? They could have been there could be key injuries depending on how long it happens for. But I was with a minute to go, and they had a corner. Alisson goes down holding his hamstring. I was just thinking to myself, okay, what the fuck is going to happen here?
We've used all of our subs.
What if it was gone? All right. What would have happened is one of the outfield players would have put on the goalkeeper jersey and been named as the goalkeeper, and Alisson would have gone and stood up front and stood out the way. You know, there's nothing he could do, but just you can change your goalkeeper within the game, but you have to tell the keeper, you have to identify him as the keeper. So probably would have been Gakpo more than likely because he's tall, and
do you know what?
Gakpo would have been the goalkeeper or something for the last minute.
The shame he got subbed off. You just know Nunes would have done it. You just know he said, "Who's got the goals?" Like Nunes got, "I'll do it, lads. Come on!" It's just really fucking mental. He would have done it as well.
No, James Milner would have just appeared out of the crowd and done it because he was always due the opportunity to play goalkeeper for us. At one point, he never had the opportunity.
Or Jose Enrique, who has played in goal for Liverpool.
Yeah,
jumping that away in Newcastle.
So I mean, we get to the end of the game, and I'm not going to lie. Once we hit added time, especially after they cut to Pep complaining to the fourth official about the amount of added time, my confidence came right back of like, we're going to fucking win this game. We are going to nick something here at the end. They probably had the best chance. 94th minute, Matip makes a big block for us in our area. Like you said, then we had the corner where Alisson goes down. Hopefully that's just a little bit of play acting to waste time. And then with effectively the final touch of the game, Gravenberch, what a ball he plays from the left midfield position over the top. And if only Luis Diaz could have mustered up I can't remember if it was his first or his second goal against Brazil for Colombia in the international break, but one of those two headers was fucking amazing that he had on international duty. But just can't quite get enough on it, and the game ends 1-1. But I'm chuffed with that. I mean, my prediction for the, 257th straight week is wildly off the mark because I'm always way too positive going into these things. But that's a great point. And then we get to the post-match talking point of what the hell was going on between Pep and Darwin Núñez.
He said he's a ball. I saw someone say like enjoy the championship decade was along those lines. So he'll be in the conference soon.
Yeah, well, we've got a few options. Tarek S says he thinks he went over to Pep and said it's Sawba Sly Biatch, which is a good option. Red Steve, constant favorite of the chat in here. He says you'll end up in the National League North, you cheating gimps. Give my regards to Chorley, which is nice. I presume that Darwin probably just said chinga tu madre, which I believe is fuck your mother, something along those lines. But I love to see it because get under his skin. Because if there's anybody who, if you get under his baldy-headed skin, he's going to overthink a situation and put himself into more trouble than he needs to be in, it's probably Pep Guardiola. And Darwin Núñez just causing shit with Pep is, it's perfect. He couldn't be more a Liverpool player if he wanted to.
No, it's just one of those you love it, don't you? Just going like, it's what we do, innit?
Yeah,
fuck off.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just one of them. Like you got. I still think we got away with it. To be honest, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think we played well. I think we defended well in the main. Our attacking wise, we could have been a lot more clinical, but we got a draw without being anywhere near where we're capable of playing. So you take your point, and if you're given a bit of verbals at the manager, at your opposing manager, you can do it once you've got a point in your bag. That's fine. You can't say jack shit to him when it's if you're after dropping
when you're
3
losing.
points.
Yeah, exactly.
so-
Exactly. So I mean, Chris, who's your man of the match? Who'd you like?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm trying to think now. I know Trent got it, but I'm gonna go Van Dijk. I thought he led defensively well. Him and Matt as a partnership was really, really good. So I'll give it to honorable to Trent, and I thought McAllister did all right, but I would probably edge towards Van Dijk.
Kev, how about you?
Yeah, the only right answer is Costas. And at the end of the day,
Chris couldn't even give him an honorable mention. That's how much he.
You know what? I thought Costas played well. I've said it a few times today. He was good.
The only reason I give it to Costas is because Phil Foden done absolutely nothing, and I think Phil Foden is a proper player. You know what I mean? When you're able to mark that threat out of the game like that, like the way he did, and force Man City to go down their left-hand side almost all game. I thought he did really well. Defensively, he was very solid. Gave ball away a couple of times, but so did everybody else. He was very good. I was really, really happy with his performance because he would have been the one player when you looked at the starting 11 and you looked at who was going against him. You had the potential of Kyle Walker going around on the outside, Phil Foden cutting on the inside. I thought he was very, very good. I thought McAllister did well.
It's interesting about McAllister, isn't it? Because a lot of social media chat that he gives the ball away, and
there's a lot of people who actually don't watch football. Do you know what I mean?
What was that you told me? Yeah. 44 passes, 41 completed. Not really giving it away, is it?
No. It wasn't so much that. It was like
he's not going to win many aerial duels because he's only 5'4". But there's not much you can do about that.
There was people at halftime that were saying he was giving the ball away too much, and he was 26 for 26 passing in the first half. So it's literally an untruth. Like if you're 26 for 26 passing, you couldn't have played a bad pass.
I'm still seeing it there. I mean, Justin there say we need a proper DM. We're not going to get a proper DM because we're not going to play with one. If we were going to get a proper DM, we wouldn't have brought Gravenberch in.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. We literally would have kept the money and got one in January.
General truth though, who is the available DM that is similar stylistically to a Rodri or Fabinho that is realistic to get? It's not Andre because Andre isn't that type of player. You know, he's more of an 8. He can play DM in a 2,
and
McAllister can. So, who is it?
I'll be honest with you.
Someone tell me. I don't know.
If Paulinho was 23, and he had 5 years ahead of him where he's going to get better and better and better, he's your man. What your ideal 6 is a hybrid of Rodri and McAllister. McAllister is someone who gets their foot on the ball, turns, plays it, keeps it simple, keeps the ball turning.
I don't agree that Bajcetic is a DM. No, I think Bajcetic is being groomed. I think Bajcetic is being groomed to be an 8, a la Jones style. I think that's what he's been groomed to be doing. That I think when he's up to speed and fit again, I do think that's what it is. We also don't know this.
We don't need any 8s. We don't need any 8s.
Well, we will do because we're going to have players got to get injured or old, and you're going to move them along. Or actually,
who's going to get old? Our 8s are all 24 and under.
Oh, old or form. You know, I'd rather have loads of options than none. I don't see Bajcetic as a long-term 6. I don't. I also have concerns about his fitness because he has picked up quite a few quite serious injuries at a very young age. You hope they don't catch up with him. So I don't think it's him. I don't think it's Andre. Paulinho, I agree with what Kev's saying. If he was younger, we'd go for him. But he's going to Bayern Munich. It's all pretty much a done deal. January, that's where he's off. I mean, basically, he should have been there now, but
they're just...
It's
one of those positions in the world game at the minute that I think when you look at going back a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, it was number 9. There wasn't that many out and out number 9s that you'd hang your hat on in the game that were coming available. Now there's strikers for days go around all over the show, and there ain't that many pure 6s. And the thing is, the way this you watch Liverpool, you watch the actual games played. You look at how many times the ball gets played through midfield. We still have the joint best goals against record in the Premier League. We're second in the league at the minute, and a 6 wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference. I do not believe that going forward, he's going to go out and spend the kind of money that you would need to spend and break up this whole idea of how we're going to be playing. I just don't see how. I think the money that people think is needed to be spent on a 6, I'd almost prefer it spent on a left back. No, a left back. Because, I mean, this is one for another day because we're going to wrap up in a minute. Anytime you see anytime you see a player having a dislocated shoulder, surgery or no surgery, that's a scary injury for any footballer.
I'd love to find our version of Ake, or a left-sided Joe, or basically a left-sided Joe Gomez, because then you basically got a more defensive-minded, articulate player, which is what Ake is, and then you have 2 attacking options, which is Costas and Robbo. Yeah. So again, horses for courses, but could also cover centre back. Now, who that player is, I don't know, but I think that's probably what they're looking for.
Well, January transfer windows come in, so we're all going to be well versed on about 347 players that are coming available in January.
That's right. Everybody start watching your techno music back YouTube compilations and throwing your guaranteed to be a success at Liverpool suggestions into our Telegram transfer chat for it. I think you're both incorrect. I think it's without a doubt the man of the match today was Trent Alexander-Arnold. He scores the goal. And
I wouldn't argue.
I would say 4 out of 5 times he won his one-on-one battles with Doku, and that was the only way that they were going to cause us serious damage, was they were going to funnel the ball to Doku to try to beat Trent one-on-one, and Trent did well. He had lots of help, but he still needed to win his battles, and I thought he did well. For a right back who apparently is allergic to defending, he defended quite bloody well today and gets on the score sheet. And I have him in my fantasy team, so I'm a little bit biased on it. But I do think he was. I think he was the straight up man of the match.
I've got my fantasy. I just remember that.
Yeah. So, just before we get out of here, just quick updates for anybody that's been watching us and not watching the 3 o'clocks. We got Bournemouth 2-0 up at halftime against Sheffield United. Brighton has clawed back a 1-0 deficit. They're 2-1 up at halftime against Nottingham Forest, but it looks like they've had both Ansu Fati off in the 21st minute for Pedro injured, and Tariq Lamptey went off for a guy named Hinchelwood, who I've never heard of, but will be worth 150 million pounds by this time next year. So Tariq Lamptey and Ansu Fati injured again. Newcastle and Chelsea are at 1-1. The other 2 games are obviously 0-0s and a total joy. My favorite comment so far of the day, Wild Dead Wolf says Liverpool for the Prem 100. I completely agree. If you don't think that we're in a title race right now, then I don't know what league you're watching, because we are definitely in it, and there's going to be some real big swings and roundabouts coming up in the game throughout. But we have gone well over, and we are all 3 of us going to get a very "you've been naughty" message from Gav for going well clear of the hour in a post-match show. But that's what happens when you haven't done one of these for 2 weeks. But I want to thank Kev for joining me. I want to thank Chris for joining me. I want to thank absolutely everybody in the chat tonight. You guys absolutely make the channel what the channel is. We have the best chat going in terms of fan podcasts out there. If you can, please, it's still November for a few more days. There's a couple of shows left in November. If you can help out the Shawnee Lawson Champion Movember campaign, I believe we've absolutely smashed through the fundraising goal. But hey, all the money's going to help charities. Just mental health is a tough topic to talk about, but we're trying to raise some money for groups that are there so that men that feel that they don't have anybody to talk to can reach out and actually talk to somebody and try to work through the issues that they're having as well too. So if you can help out with that, whether it's with a donation, whether it's with sharing the link to the GoFundMe page through your social medias, or whether it's just through reaching out to somebody in your life and just checking in on them and seeing how they're doing, all that is positive and what we're here for. But the main thing is that we've gone to the Etihad, our toughest away game of the year. We've come out of it with a 1-1 draw. Chris, Kev, anything else before we get out of here?
Nope.
I think on a funny note, actually, who was it? I'm just going back up. Thor with a comment. Jared Braithwaite wouldn't even need to move house. Just say, I think he could afford a better house if he signed for us. But anyway, that's definitely one for Ron.
Well, if they get sued, they might need the money.
That's it. They're going to need it. Maybe they'll get a transfer ban once they try to appeal their 10 points down, and they'll take it down to 8 points and give him a 5-year transfer ban, and we can just go in and nip that because, yes, he does look like quite the player. But very interested to see how that gets on tomorrow when the mighty Ev take on the mighty Man United. Hey, did the plane fly over?
It did.
Did anybody?
No. Did it?
Yeah, apparently. I saw one of the Blues on Twitter showing a picture of it flying over.
Oh, that's so good for them. Yeah, good work. I hope the banner just said boo.
I mean, I think the phrase isn't that called cop-out behavior? I don't know. That's a different podcast. That's a different podcast.
That's right. Well, you can't carry a dog over your head when you're flying an old school World War I biplane. So
that's who's flying.
All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. Gavin, the lads will be back here tomorrow evening for the regular Sunday night show. But thank you for joining us. Man City won, Liverpool won. We are definitely in a title race, and don't you forget it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Bye.